to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today is a Where Are They Now episode, and it reunites us with Cheryl Luckett, the principal of Dwell by Cheryl. Cheryl was on the show almost exactly a year ago today in episode 291. During that show, Cheryl explained that her business was just a year old, and we discussed the success that she was already having, and we picked apart the steps that she took from going from design as a side hustle to design as a full-time career. And if you're thinking of doing the same thing, this is a fantastic episode for real-life strategies and tips for successfully leaving the grind behind. Today, Cheryl's here to tell us the amazing things that have happened and that she has created in her second year in business. This lady is the real deal. Smart, kind, savvy, talented, and a good soul. So once you listen to this show and find that you love Cheryl as much as I do, treat yourself to a listen to her first episode and get the rest of her story. It's number 291. Okay, now, in this show, we're also going to learn about Sylvester Alexander Furniture as well as Revolution Fabrics, which are two resources that you should definitely look into and see if they are a good fit for your business. And while you're sourcing products, please be sure you are then loading the selections for your next project into your MyDoma Studio platform. With MyDoma Studio, you can share with your clients everything you have selected for their room. They can go through everything. They can click, they can approve, they can buy, and off you go. You will have their approval along with their credit card for their payment. No mess, no fuss, just successful projects and happy clients. For your free gift from MyDoma Studio, head over to mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. That's MyDoma Studio, MYDOMA studio.com/a well-designed business. Now, let me introduce or reintroduce, as the case may be, you to Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn.
Cheryl, this is so insane, okay? First of all, I said it in the intro, I cannot believe that it is almost a year to the day since you were first on my show. So we are doing an official Where Are They Now show because, oh my goodness, lady, what you are doing warrants a Where Are They Now show in just 1 year.
It has been a crazy 12 months.
It is insane. And Cheryl, you know what it is? It's a crazy 12 months if you had been a full-time interior designer for 10 years. Then this is a crazy 12 months. This is that moment where all that 10 years and, you know, the thing starts to, everything jives and, you know, it all hits a thing and it's all been worth it. And it's like, no, it's 2 years. It was my second. You're like, what?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but see, you know what it is? You're different, Cheryl. You are. You are different. You work it like a business, right?
Yeah, I do. And I'm passionate about it. And I think this is kind of what I was meant to do. So I'm in alignment and things just flow. I love it.
You know what? The podcast that pull out the little sentence from people and they put it at the beginning. I love it. I'm not mocking. I'm just saying, but I don't usually do it. If I did it, that's it right there. I'm in alignment. It just flowing.
It just flows. Yes. As it should.
That's right. That's exactly right. But you know what? I have to just push you back on it a little bit because, there's a lot of people that are passionate, right?
Yeah.
But you run the business side, and I have to say, I know that you're running the business side. That's why we're having the conversation. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Tell me. So first of all, we're obviously talking about this furniture launch that I mentioned in the intro about the Sylvester Alexander furniture launch, okay?
Yes.
So tell us, where were we at? What I don't remember is when we talked last year and the show went on in January 2018. Was that already a little germ of what's going on in your business plan, or it had not happened yet?
No, it was nowhere on my radar.
Whoa. Okay. So now that means in January of 2018, it's not on your radar. And in October of 2018, I'm standing with you in your Sylvester Alexander booth looking at this beautiful furniture you created. 10 months later. Whoa. Okay. Okay. So, all right, let's just start there then. So where did the idea come from? How did it happen? Get us down the road.
Okay. So last year, literally on the first work day of the year, I think I came back on January 3rd, my phone rings, and it was a follow-up to an email from the marketing manager from Sylvester Alexander, who had literally been tracking me down for months. People reach out and they want to tell you about their brand or their product. And, I'll just be honest, sometimes you're too busy. You're just busy.
Yes.
And, I don't have time to meet for coffee. I'd love to, but I just can't right now.
Right.
And so I had delayed and delayed and delayed. And finally, I think she had reached out toward the end of the previous year. And I said, look, it's the holidays. I'm finishing up a few projects. Can you connect back with me in January? And literally, I think it was 10 a.m. the first day back.
She's like, lady, you said January.
Relentless.
Good for her.
My phone rings, and I think I let it go to voicemail because, the first day back, you're digging yourself out of tons of emails. So I'm like, okay, I will respond, but I can't right now. Yeah. So she leaves a message, and literally I return the phone call, and, Happy New Year, the pleasantries. I'd love to sit down, show you our product. And consequently, we are working with a show house in the area, and we know that they're still looking for designers. Is that something you would be interested in? So obviously, as a 1-year time designer, that sounds interesting. So I was put in contact.
Why didn't you call me 3 months ago, lady?
Right? So I was put in contact with the show house people, and that one thing led to another there, and I ended up in my first show house. Okay, so that was the first conversation. They happened to be a furniture sponsor, and so, they were making a point of connection between me and this Southern Home magazine show house. The second part of that was we met for lunch, and at that point, the show house was kind of underway, and she conveys to me that one of their other goals for the year is to launch a licensed line with a designer. And of course, I'm like, say what?
Again, you're like, why didn't you call me 3 months ago, lady?
And I'm thinking, you talking like, am I a prospect for this opportunity?
Right. Like, are we just chatting like girlfriends? Like, you going to ask me which one of my friends we should recommend? Man. Do I have to give you Denise McGahey's number? Is that what you want?
Exactly. So, she said, we've been following you for a long time. We love your brand. We love what you do. We're a smaller company, family owned. Something about what you're doing resonates with us. Okay. So would that be something, would a small collection be something that you would be interested in? Well, yes. I think so. So that's kind of where it all began. It was a part of their marketing strategy for the year. They wanted to get their product in a show house, which they had done, and they also wanted a licensed line with a designer that they connected with, who had a social presence, who could kind of help spread the word about their new residential line of furnishings.
Wow. That's remarkable. I want to pick a couple things apart in there. First of all, yay, yay, yay. Okay. What I want to say about it is something that I share with people a lot. And here's a perfect example of no is not no. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, you mentioned that they had emailed a couple of times, reached out, whichever ways they were doing it. And you were busy. And it wasn't that you were objectively saying, no, Sylvester Alexander, to whatever it is you're calling about. You just weren't saying yes at the moment. And that is such a big thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
So for your conversation, it's about you were the one who wasn't saying no. But for designers listening, when you are pitching a builder, or you are pitching a realtor, or you pitching a cabinet maker that you want to partner with, just because you just don't get an answer. Like I was talking with somebody recently, I don't recall if it was in a mastermind or what it was, a coaching session. And I said, how many times have you reached out? I think it was over a year, 3 or 4 times. I'm like, no isn't no now. Until somebody tells you no. Stop calling me. Stop emailing me. It's just I'm busy. I have it. I have it here all the time too. People will, give me an idea or pitch me for a podcast, and then a month later, they're like, "Hey, never heard from you," and I'll be like, "Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, that was such a good idea." But at that day and time, I was overwhelmed with hot plate items, right?
Yep.
So until you hear NO, just keep going.
So I mean, that is such a good point, and another lesson that I learned in 2018. Yeah, you got to keep going back.
That's right. That's right. So I love that. So that's a lesson for us as we are the ones who are in the position of Sylvester Alexander pursuing you. Okay. The other thing is that I think that it was really cool that you had this thing come out of them saying to you, we have been watching you and what you do resonates with us. So you're putting yourself out there. We say it all the time on the show. Be your authentic self. Be who you are. Put your best foot forward, right? Your authentic self doesn't mean, pajamas and underwear on your formal feed on Instagram, right? Because isn't there a little fine line there? I think where I'm going to take this is, if you are listening and you have a goal to have a firm, solo firm or bigger firm, but that has licensing opportunities and stuff. Do you agree, Cheryl, that the feed has your personality, but it has the professional face first? Do you agree with that?
So yeah, I do. But I also think people are looking for consistency. I had this conversation with a friend yesterday. Good. I feel like I'm in relationship with the people who follow me.
Okay, so they know who you are, right? Right.
We have a relationship. I show up for them, and they show up for me. So I feel like I have a responsibility to give them what they're looking for. In my case, I feel like it's design with a little bit of faith mixed in. That's what the audience is there for.
Right.
And so I try not to veer too far off of that, because I know that's what they've signed up for. That's why they clicked follow, because they knew that those two things resonated with them. And I try and provide a steady, consistent diet of both.
I love that. Do you see? This is why you are killing it. Because you're able to say, my Instagram, my social media is designed with faith mixed in. See, that's so specific. Right? And so how many times have we had Fred Burns on the show? I'm going to tell you how many times. It's 8 times. Okay. I love that man. Right. So here's the thing. This is a perfect point that Fred often makes, and that the kind of question I will get after a Fred show. They'll say, I know Fred says that I have to figure out what my only is, but I don't know what my only is. And you see, and I'm always like stammering over, it's not always a big thing. So that's a perfect example of design with a little faith mixed in. That's your identity.
Yep. And you know what, LuAnn, I would love to tell you that that was a strategic move and that I planned, but it just
It is
happened.
you. It's
It's who
authentically
I
you.
am. It's who I am.
But see, but that is the other part of it, though. And I have to say, I've learned the same thing. In other words, you just came out as you. And then when you looked back and you realized and you started engaging more as you on the platform, you go, oh, this is where I live. I live in design and a little faith. And so that's what happens is when there's a newer designer in business and they don't have that. That's why all of us just keep saying, just keep being you. Just keep being you.
Yep.
Because it will come out. And then you can sit with it and look at it. But you can't say, this is me. Because there's what it is that these are not the only two parts of Cheryl Luckett.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if we met with you 2 or 3 years ago and you were going to start doing this, you know, now I know the business is only formally 2-year anniversary, but you were doing it as a side hustle for what, 5 years? Was it? 5 years, right. So you were doing it. So if we were going to look at it 5, 6, 7 years ago, you could have picked 2 different things that were really you. It's Cheryl is design and loves yellow, whatever it is. I don't know, right? So, but it's a huge little learning lesson in there, in that always be you and always be thinking, always be analyzing, always seeing what works with people. And then you can lean into the 2 or 3 things about you that create that connection, right?
And pay attention. Like, I mean, LuAnn, I can tell you what people are not that interested in that I have an interest in. Like, for example, I love gardening. But I can tell you that my followers are not that interested in gardening.
They don't care.
Some are, and some probably tolerate me during the spring. But I don't get the engagement on gardening posts because that's not why the followers signed up to follow me.
Right.
They signed up for design with a little faith mixed in.
Right. I love it. I think that's so awesome. Okay. So, and the thing is, when you look at your feed, what it is there is a blend of the design and you as a real person. So you've got your promo shots and so forth, but you have your shots with you, with your friends at High Point. You have, you know, it's not devoid. And so when I say keep it a little bit more professional, I don't mean no personal, but I have to say, Cheryl, I have gone to when, you know, we all do the same thing. Somebody comments on your feed, on your post. What do? You click over and look at them, right?
Sure.
I have literally gone to Instagram feeds where the title is XYZ and it says interior designer, where they're putting it out there and you can't find 2 design pictures out of 20. And I'm just like, this is a mistake. Call this your personal feed, right? Right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not that personal can't happen on the feed, but the feed should, if it's the point of it is to be, to attract your client and a brand.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing. Okay. So I'm not saying don't be human being. I'm just saying that this is a great example because I have to say, if you're looking to be really you and have your personality as a person come through, but have that tone of professionalism, look at Dwell by Cheryl because you're doing a good job, as evidenced, by the way. So now, so what's happening is Sylvester Alexander, as you mentioned, is a family-owned company, and my guess is this is probably a family that is into faith too, and this aligns with their values.
Yep, got it.
Right.
You got it.
Yes.
So if I don't share that, then they don't connect with me on that level.
Right. And so, and it's and look, for somebody else, it might be a matter of every single post has design and faith in it. It's not that way for you, but you mix it in. It's part of your life.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So now, so awesome. So you exactly proved every podcast I've ever done on branding and client attraction. You know, and it works in ACEs. And so I love also too, let's not forget the business lesson here with Sylvester Alexander. They have set a goal for themselves. They want their product in a show house, and they want their product to be licensed and brought out to the public by an interior designer that they feel shares their their values and their vision. And
That's
that
right.
little lady there wasn't giving up until she at least heard no.
She sure wasn't.
Right? Because you could have ultimately
Exactly right.
said no, but she was not giving up until you said N-O. Awesome. And if she ever needs a job, you tell her to find me.
And you know what? Interestingly enough, the owner didn't seek me out.
Oh, see?
She did.
So
right?
she's in marketing for the
She's in
company?
marketing, right?
Yes, yes.
So you never know who's watching.
Right. It's the truth. Well, it's no different for all of us, right? It could be your assistant that finds something interesting for you. Kimberly is, Kimberly, she was the one who wanted me to interview Mrs. Paranjape, Lori Paranjape. And I love her now. But I just, had not known who she was. And we got on the thing and it was like, my goodness, we knew each other 100 years. And so, and of course, Kim was like, my God, she loves her. And so it's so true. You don't know who's watching and who's influencing the decisions that are happening for each of the businesses that we interact with. Okay,
Absolutely.
love it. So now she says, so this little girl is a go-getter. She gets you in the show house. She gets her furniture in the show house, and she gets you on the hook to say, yes, let's explore this licensing deal. And so take us to the next step. What happens? Because it's, you're a smart lady, but you've never done that before. You had to know, how do I do this, right?
Right. Okay. So good, very good point. And I probably should rewind the tape to 2017 when I hired a coach.
Love it.
Okay. So
was that Kim Cutable or a different one?
Yes.
Okay.
Kim.
Yep.
Episode 73.
She already knows it. I love it.
I do. Because I had met Kim at a punch bowl years ago. Like when I was still in corporate, I was actually at the Design Bloggers Conference in LA. My first time, I think it was 2014. And I met her, and literally, she doesn't know this, but she coached me at the punch bowl.
Yes.
Just we're talking. I told her I was working in corporate. I had just started this on the side. I really liked it. And we just had a very casual conversation. Well, she stuck in my mind. Fast forward like 3 or 4 years, she writes a book.
Yep.
She's on LuAnn's podcast. I listened to her. She has this conference call to launch her book where she's talking to designers and pitching a group coaching. I sign up. So from that, I went through her group coaching. It was fantastic, kind of opened my eyes, got me to thinking a little differently, but really it only scratched the surface. So at the end of the year, I circled back with her and said, I think I need more. Let's talk about one-on-one. So right when all this started, I was just starting one-on-one coaching. And so my coach was there to kind of help me navigate this project.
And she is smart too, and she's been through a lot of situations and in the industry, and her background in TV production and all of that. And of course, she has coached many interior designers, and of course, she's got the book, Branding by Design. I think I want to say it's called. Yeah. Yep.
Branding and an interior. Branding plus interior design.
Right. Branding plus interior design. Exactly. Awesome. So, yes, I remember interviewing her when the book was just coming to launch and her mentioning that opportunity that anybody that bought the book, I want to say in pre-launch, would be there for that Zoom call. Yep.
I was on the Zoom call.
Love it. I love it. Okay. And so
that was an investment that kind of led to me being open to this opportunity. So I think there's kind of a prelude, but there's some work that I did on the back end.
Okay.
Because there probably was a time when I would have been like, oh, I don't know. These designers in this show house are really big. And I may have talked myself out of it. But I think in working with her, I was able to create a larger container for what I want to achieve, and then to be open to those opportunities when they came about.
Okay, so that's an interesting little thing there, because I think of you, Cheryl, as just popping out into your design business as completely confident and capable, right? And what you're saying is that the experience of spending that time with Kim, both in the group and the one-on-one, I guess more or less opened your eyes to your own capabilities as a business person. Yep. And of course, obviously, she taught you some things, I'm sure.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And so then when you're sitting there with this woman from Sylvester Alexander, instead of saying, oh my goodness, why me? You're saying, me, maybe me.
You got it.
Love it.
You
my
got
goodness, I love that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And so now what happens? Is it,
Okay,
this
so
is a
now,
smaller company. So is it, it
yes.
wasn't like, 20 years of, let's do 9,000 rounds
No,
of paperwork probably,
no,
right?
no. So it was really a collaborative process from that point. Like it's let's sit down, let's have a meeting, and let's talk about what you have in mind and what we have in mind, and see where the synergy is. So we knew we wanted to create nothing, like we didn't want 25 pieces of furniture. Like let's
Okay.
do something kind of small and manageable. So we landed on 5. And then we had to talk about what pieces are we going to create. And so for me, I wanted to know, well, where are your gaps? I mean, if you got 200 chairs, I don't want to make another chair, like,
Right.
because people are already buying your chairs.
Right.
Let's do something that maybe you don't have,
Mm.
or where there might be a need in a category. And so they said, well, we do a lot of custom bills, and one of the requests we get is for banquettes.
Mm.
Oh, well, great. I love banquets. A matter of fact, I've done a couple of custom ones this past year. I think that's a great idea. And so we landed on banquets. They say, we don't really have any settees. We've got lots of chairs, lots of ottomans, sofas. What do you think about doing some settees? Look, I'm a Southern girl. I love formality. I lean a little traditional. That's fantastic.
Right. If I can have a cup of tea or a mimosa there, we're good. A
Absolutely.
mint
My
julep.
settee. Yes, sign me up. So we did that, and then we ended up with the Parsons table because it was something that I felt like it was a little hard to find for me.
Okay.
Like, okay, well, if I'm having a hard time finding it, other designers are too. It's a very versatile piece of furniture. Let's do a fully upholstered Parsons table.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how we decided the actual pieces.
Mm.
And then from that point, of course, we had to negotiate like a contract. What
Right.
does this look like? What's the length of the agreement? What's the fee structure? So all of those things were really a back and forth. Because we were new, it's not like they had a template for what this looked like, or, last person we licensed with, that we did X, Y, and Z.
Right.
We literally created this from scratch. And so, thankfully I had a coach who, like you said, had some experience, has worked with other clients who have product lines. And so I had a template going in.
Mm.
So I said, okay, this is typically how this works. And so we came to an agreement, and that happened probably late spring. So after that point, it was a mad dash to create.
Mm.
And, to do that before High Point Market was a lot of work, a lot of work.
Right. And you could have put it off until spring now, 2019, but altogether, all of you just agreed, we're just going to do the hard work and we're going to get it done.
Honestly, I think it was ignorance. I don't think any of us, I don't think we realized how much work it would be. And so once we were committed, we just went with it and, pushed to the finish line.
So that is an interesting distinction here, that you are engaged doing this with a company who it was their first time doing it too. So it's like a little like the Wild West.
Yep.
And so I know that the details of the agreement are not really our business, but just asking you in the concept of it. So knowing that Kim Cutable has some experience and she's giving you some template, like you said, was it the sort of thing where you would come to them and say, this is what's typical? And was there any moment where they were like, well, that's crazy, we're not doing it that way? Or, we thought this? Like how many back and forths did it get to be something that felt good for both of you?
Not many, actually. I think we were both looking for a deal that was mutually beneficial. Mm-hmm. Both fairly new in the space, both looking to grow our brands. I just really wanted to get paid for my time. I wanted them to invest in promoting the product. I think the only back and forth we had were I tend to like to do things a little big. And so, some of the things that I wanted to do, they're probably like, do we really need that? And I'm like, yes, we totally need that. So that there was probably more back and forth around those extra things after the contract was signed than there was about the actual the actual agreement.
Okay. So, but I love what you just said there. And I'm going to ask you if there were other things. It sounds like that you came to the conversation with what are, like I always say, what are the things I will do and what are the things I will not do. So you came to the conversation with what you kind of knew was a base level, which I'm going to get paid for my time.
Yes.
And you're going to invest certain amount of something into marketing. And was there any other criteria that you're like, these are the 3 or 4 points that I've got to make sure get covered? Or was it just those 2?
Oh, well, we had, of course, there's a commission.
Right. No. Right. In other words, there's a commission on sales, but it was like the commission on, it sounds like to me that the commission could have been a sliding number. And if the other 2 weren't in place, it wasn't going to work no matter what the commission was. Yeah.
Very true.
Okay. I mean, unless it was 50-50, but it's not going to be 50-50. Right. So, so whether it's, I have no idea in this realm, if it's a 3%, a 5% or 20%, I have the slightest idea what this market bears, but whatever the typical market bears, I'm sure between Kim and their research and your research, you were there. And so a fluctuation of 2 or 3 or 4% is a matter. Okay. Okay. I mean, it matters. Don't get me wrong. 90% you can get. But if they weren't going to cover your time, so what you were saying to yourself is, I'm going to project, just like you do for a project, how many hours I'm going to work on this into your design plan. You projected how many hours you were going to work on this, and that was going to be covered, and then commission was gravy.
Yes.
Okay. And just as curious, and I don't know if you're willing to share, was that covered as a direct payout, or you were like, well, that will be covered in like, how was that? How did you do that?
No, it was a direct payout.
Okay. Love it. Yep. Love it. Yep. I love it. Okay. So in your mind, from a business standpoint, if you do all this work, you get to launch and nobody buys a piece of furniture, you got paid for your time.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have no idea if that's normal. Do you have any idea if that's normal?
I think it works both ways. I don't know which one is more prevalent, but I knew what worked for me.
Right. Yep. And see, and here is the lovely part of having so finely and adeptly attracted them right into your little web, Cheryl. They wanted you by then.
Yeah.
They wanted you. I mean, the thing is that you spoke to them so directly that they chased you for several months. They could have said, okay, next, let's call Erica Ward, who's amazing. Let's call, Kim Hager, who's amazing.
Right.
Like I'm thinking of anybody, right?
Yep.
But, and it was just that so that was some leverage that you had, you know, that I mean, did you feel that way? I don't mean in a mean way. I mean in a business way.
Yeah, I did, because I didn't seek them out.
Right. And so it's sort of like, it's like everything we do in business. It's
absolutely
analyze where the strengths are and pull the back and do the takeaway when somebody doesn't. Well, okay, we didn't have to do this furniture line. You called me, remember?
Exactly. I was fine.
That's it. I'll just go back to designing rooms and, okay. And gardening that my followers don't want to know about. Okay. No. So, and the thing is, I know that Sylvester Alexander will listen to this and there's no disrespect there. It's a business, right? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mean any, and I know you know that. So, okay. All right. So now you get to launch. And so now tell me about the selection of the fabrics. Are you coming into this where, you're not putting a different furniture company's fabric on it and you're not going to Kravit and saying, let's have 5 yards of that. How did that happen?
So I knew I wanted to tell a story with this because it was like I attracted them because I revealed on social media who I was and they bought into that, right? So I wanted to tell my story through these 5 pieces of furniture. And so that's kind of where the creativity part of it began. So if I'm going to tell my story and I've got 5 pieces, well, what are the 5 pillars in the life of Cheryl? And so for me, that was faith, family, home. Like I'm part of my brand is I'm Southern. I talk a lot about being from Mississippi, and like that's a part of it. Of course, obviously, I share my faith. My family means a lot to me. Culture is important to me, and so we have pieces that connect to all of those pillars. And so
we're
once
missing
we
one. Faith,
I'm sorry,
family, home, culture.
and journey, my
Journey.
journey. So
Okay.
I actually have a piece that represents my collegiate experience. Yeah. And so that's kind of like the journey of how I got here.
Okay.
So once we had those 5 pieces developed, then we needed to, put fabric on them.
Right.
And I'm the brand ambassador for Revolution Performance Fabrics, so that was a no-brainer. So I know at least one piece is going to have Revolution on it, because it's an opportunity for me to now promote their brand as well. Plus, it's a product that I believe in and use regularly. So that was one. And then the other, really, I could have picked anything or anybody's fabric, but I started to think, okay, how can I tell maybe another story in this? The line is Belle, which is kind of a nod to the Black Southern belle. Can I play on that and tell yet another story of maybe girl power, Southern women, Southern business women, Southern designers? So I selected 3 of my design friends who have fabric or textiles lines, Denise McGahey, Kim Hoger, and Wendy O'Connor Art, all had textiles that I loved. And so we literally combed through their selections and picked something that kind of worked together, reached out to those ladies, told them what we were doing, and we had yet another story behind them.
Nice. That's the thing. That's what brings people, that's what draws people in. Of course, it drew Sylvester Alexander to you, your story, your journey. But the thing is, this is so brilliant on your part, Cheryl, to have the furniture have the story. It's like when you go into an art gallery, right? And you could just look at an art, and some art just grabs you on face value. And other times the art curator or somebody is standing there and they're starting to tell you, oh, the artist lives in this island and this and that. And all of a sudden, a second ago, it was just like an island. And now it's like, oh, that's where he grew up and his grandma lives there.
Yes. Right. And I think Sylvester Alexander having communicated that their number one goal was press and exposure, that was always playing in the back of my mind, right? Because their goal was not, they were already, they're selling furniture. They're trying to reach more people, and exposure, press, being in publications would help them do that. So I knew that, well, we got to tell a story, right?
So that's awesome because, a few moments ago, we identified your 2 goals. But I didn't think to ask their 2 goals, and you knew what they were, and their 2 goals were press exposure. Okay, I love it. Okay, awesome. So this is fabulous because, as you said, you first have your story in these 5 pillars, and then you weave in your friends, 2 of which have been on the podcast. I'm just gonna say so. I think there's an invitation I have to send. I'm just gonna say that too. So I'm coming for you, Wendy.
I'll let her know.
That's it. So awesome. And so I have a little bit of a question in there as far as the logistics, the technical of it. So when it applies to also Revolution Performance Fabrics, and also, Kim, I know she has her own line that she sells herself, right?
That's correct. Yep.
And is that the same with Denise as well?
No. So Denise has a licensed line with Design Legacy.
Okay, so that's the thing in there, the little thing in there. Obviously there is no conflict because it's been worked out, but I might have thought that you couldn't say, hey, Design Legacy, because it's, Sylvester Alexander brand now, and now Design Legacy is going to be sort of second fiddle to that, but they all play in the sandbox because the goal is all the same.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
It. See, with Kim, there's no,
right.
There's no, what's the word I want? There's no, that's competition.
Conflict.
Is it right? Conflict is the word I want. Right. Okay. Awesome. So I would not have known that. I would have thought, oh, I have to go to somebody who has their own proprietary line, or do I have to sit here and start doodling and coming up with fabrics for crying out loud? Right.
Well, Design Legacy, Kelly O'Neill, he's an artist. He has a number of designers who have licensed lines of fabrics, but I probably wouldn't have gone to another a big furniture company and said, hey, can I borrow some of your ottomans to put under my Parsons table? Because clearly then
Right.
there might be a conflict there. But I think design legacy was far enough removed from Sylvester Alexander's realm for there not to be a
Right. In
conflict.
other words, for instance, like a license line, and there's certain times when I hear myself ask these questions and I think, LuAnn, who needs to know this stuff? Like, what are you doing? But I always figure if I want to know, somebody else might want to.
Yeah.
So, but like what I'm just trying to get to the clear for myself is, for instance, you have Candace Olson, who has a license line with Kravet. They're not gonna get on board and say, let's do this, because there's conflict there with furniture, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the distinction. And Revolution Performance Fabrics, they don't make furniture, they only make fabric and design.
Exactly.
Okay. Understanding now. Sometimes the little details, I have to just get all the way down into them. Okay. Well, and you know what? Because these are the types of things that for one of our friends listening who has a germ of an idea, these are some of the distinctions that you have to make sure you have clear in your mind so that you know your idea has legs. Because if your idea takes, a conflict and doesn't have it into consideration, it's like, boom, hello, light bulb, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Okay. Love it. Okay. So what was but the actual lines of the furniture, in other words, the when I say lines, I mean the shapes of the furniture. That's all you do that.
That's all me.
Right. Okay.
So I worked with and just to give you some insight on to like the mechanics of that, even all new to me completely. Like I'm not a really great artist. Yeah, I went to design school, but I
right.
I
and you didn't have this burning desire. You weren't doodling furniture for the last 5 years, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let's go there.
That's not my gift. I hired a rendering artist. We literally sat down, and I communicated to her, okay, this is what I'm thinking. I love a wingback. I want a wingback settee. And so we literally bounced back and forth. Okay, well, what kind of wing? Okay, well, these are some of the wings that I like. And then she literally started to do what I couldn't do, which is sketch it out. I'm like, oh, no. That, you see how that's going that direct? No, I don't like that. So, I mean, we literally, she was my hands.
Wow.
And she drew out my vision. And in the end, once we perfected it, that became the rendering for the furniture that would be made.
And how did you know to do that? Did they say to you, this is how it's sometimes done? Did Kim know? Did friends know? How did you know? Because I might have sat there and said, I can't draw. I'm dead in the water. Thanks so much for the offer. I don't know what to do with it though. Bye.
They actually told me, we don't need renderings. I'm like, no, we totally need renderings. And let me tell you why. Not just so I can show you what's in my head, but later on, that's going to become a part of the marketing material. Right. So, from concept to creation, right? That's a part of the story.
The behind the scenes. That's the story. Exactly.
Again, it's one thing to see the finished photography. It's another thing to see the sketch of where it began. That's a part of the process, a part of the story. And
so had you worked with this renderer before in your design firm? Like, where did it get to you? How did you know to do this?
I guess I have a lot of people who I look up to. So I pay attention to what they do.
Okay.
I love Madcap Cottage, for example.
Those guys are great, right?
Like, I just love them. And I pay attention to how people who are successful are doing things. And not that I'm copying them, but I'm like, when I get that kind of opportunity, I want to do that. And so all of that is just cataloged, but it's a part of my study, my continuing education. Where am I trying to go, and who's already there that I can kind of follow, but in their footsteps.
Right.
So I think that's an important part. So no one told me that I needed that. I just knew that, well, when people get lines, this is what they do.
Okay.
So I've got one now, so this is what I do.
And the thing is, too, what I like about it is that you didn't say, well, that's going to cost me a lot of money to do that, so I'm not going to do it. You understand that there was something very valuable, not only for yourself, like you said, conceptually, so you understood that it looked nice and that it was something you were going to be proud of, but that it was also then going to become part of the marketing plan as well.
Right.
So there was
Yep.
value in it beyond just your comfort zone value. But you still have to be willing to put the dollar bills on the table to do these
Well,
things.
then that's a large part of it. Going back to the hiring the coach, that's an investment. Like the rendering artist, that's an investment. Going back to the rendering artist and saying, okay, now I need color renderings now that we have fabric, that's an investment. The photography, those were all things that were driven by me because, quite frankly, Sylvester Alexander was, just didn't know that was a part of the process. But that's everything. Like you can't. It's hard to promote things if you don't have the right tools.
Right. I love it. So they did well by selecting you as the person. No, seriously, because you were able to bring, look, you've created 15,000 followers in a minute and a half on Instagram. Let's be serious. You're doing something right in the marketing world.
Yeah.
And so look, they're also very smart. They found you, they wanted you, and they chased you until they got you.
Persistence pays.
That's it. My two mantras. I will persist until I succeed, and all I need is within me now, right?
Yep.
So it's so true. I love it. Okay, and so now just take us through the opening at High Point. So we mad spring and summer and fall to get it all done, all of this process, all of the marketing, all of the rendering, all of the photography, and are there learning lessons for the experience of the actual launch, the actual experience of standing there in their space at High Point? Tell us about that, Cheryl.
So I think the last episode, the last time I talked to you, we talked about creating your own buzz, so to speak.
Yes, you did.
I like pomp and circumstance. So again, I want to create some buzz, and if no one's creating it for me, I'm going to create it for myself. So that means a launch party. That means we're going to have Belle ringers, who I'm going to identify as people who are literally going to ring the bell for me. My design friends who are out there with large followings who are going to be ambassadors for the Belle by Cheryl Luckett collection, just spreading the word. And we're going to send them a package, and we're going to tell them, we want you to open this package and share on social media. And, all of that is a part of the process. And so when you get to High Point Market, there is a buzz that's been created. Right. And people are excited to come to your launch party because they want to see what's all the hype about. It's just a lot of the planning is so much more than just creating the furniture and picking the fabrics.
Right, because you could launch to crickets. Thanks
so
much. Nobody knows I'm here. Right.
That was the easy part.
Right.
So, thankfully I was approached by High Point Market to, do a tour and to be on a panel. And so those things just created another platform, right, to stay in front and relevant and have people connect you to your furniture line that happens to be debuting at that same market.
Well, I have to say, you're so right that it works, because when I was at High Point, this particular past October High Point, I had one, if not two events that I had to do. First of all, Saturday I was involved all day with my Power Talk Friday one-on-one coaching event, like the small group coaching event in person, right? So we were from 7:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning with the 9 designers that came to that event and the coaches. Okay, so Saturday's out. Okay. Now, Sunday, I had something in the theater. I interviewed Lord Spencer later in the day. Then my friend Charles Pavarini launched a line with Swaim that night. I mean, the same thing Monday. It was at Alder and Tweed, and it was at Gabby Home with Mrs. Paranjape and Rachel Cannon. Tuesday, I'm off to be with KBIS. And you know what? There was no way I was not coming to your booth.
I appreciate it.
But I mean, the thing was, I heard about it, and I was like, I have to do this. I want to be there with her. I want to, first of all, see you in person again. We had met at Design Bloggers the years and a half or so before, but I wanted to see you in person again, and I wanted to be part of the people who looked at you and said, way to go, lady. And if you didn't do the whole big buzz like you just described, I might not have never known about it.
Very true.
And my point is because I was a busy crazy pants running all over High Point doing 9,000 things on my own, right? And so, but I remember seeing emails. I remember seeing, I'm feeling like I'm seeing, there was a postcard I saw with you in floral dress or something, right? Yeah. Like, and I was just like, nope, this is a non-negotiable. I'm getting to this thing. Yeah. It was interesting. And I remember Kimberly looking at me. She's like, oh yeah, Cheryl's so nice. I loved her episode. She goes, my goodness, how are we ever going to make it? I'm like, I don't know, but we're gonna.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I don't say that to ask for you to acknowledge it. I say that to point out that if you had only put out one announcement, I might have seen it. I might not have. But that wouldn't have been and that's the thing. It goes back to what we started with. No isn't no. One announcement and 3 people show up isn't 50 people didn't care. One announcement is 3 people found out. You need 50 announcements for 500 people to find out, and so that 50 people can show up.
Yep.
You're so smart.
Well, thank you.
No, I mean really. I mean, and
I just feel like you get out what you put in, and it didn't end at High Point Market. We just had a party on Friday for the public, like, so. I'm still hustling, I'm still promoting it. But I'm putting in the work, so that I can reap the harvest of the work.
Now let's talk about that for a little bit. Now, one little point in there, because this is outside looking in. It's what you do. I don't look at you and say, oh my goodness, you had a launch in October and then you had another launch in January. Like, what are you doing? Outside looking in, I know darn well this is exactly what we just said. You have to tell 500 people so 50 people find out. You have to, and you have to tell 500 people every 3 months so 50 more people find out. But is there any part of you, and this is to share an experience, that feels like, okay, everybody, I'm over here doing it again. I hope you're not sick of me doing it again. Or is it you just understand it's a business decision and the people who know, and the people who don't care, don't care?
Yeah, no, I don't have any shame about it.
And you use the word shame. I'm not going there. You know what I'm saying? People have a hard time promoting themselves. I know that to be true. So you're not, that's not your Achilles heel. This is not a party for you. We're having fun.
Absolutely. I built a business on promoting myself. So I can't stop, because that's kind of the bread and butter. That's the whole essence of the business.
Right.
If I don't promote myself, who's going to promote me?
Right. See, I love hearing you say that, because when we watch what you're doing, there isn't one part of it that looks anything more than what you are actually doing. But there are many people that say, oh, I can't keep saying, hey, me, hey, me. It's like, no, that's what you have to do, because you have a business and it depends on you. And I always say to everybody, it gets a little easier if it's not your nature. Right? If it's not your nature to understand and to really lean into this, when it gets a little easier is when you have employees whose salaries you have to make. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And for you, Sylvester Alexander is not your employee, but they're your partner employee, right? You have a responsibility. You've made agreements to them.
Well,
right?
And last year I hired my first employee. So.
Yes, I know that, right? I met her. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And so now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, it's like, no. We were responsible for this person. Right.
You got it.
Right.
You got it.
So, but there is that layer that is I mean, I know for me, every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, sweet Jesus, LuAnn, you are like all over the place. And I'm like, you know what? What am I going to tell you?
And I think it's also, there's some storytelling that goes into it. I might show you the Ivy settee 10 times, but the context would be different each time.
Yes. Each time you tell a different
right.
story.
One time I might tell you that my grandma had a settee that I loved to sit in when I was growing up, and she'd be so proud of me. Like, that's one story, right? The other story might be that, oh, this settee is covered in Wendy O'Connor Arts fabric, and oh my gosh, her art is amazing. Right. So it's the same message, but I'm telling it in different ways.
Right. Exactly. And the thing about it is you must be prepared to do that end of it if you aspire to have a licensed product line of any sort, because there is no company wants to partner with somebody who can create the most beautiful thing that's going to sit behind closed doors and nobody sees it. That's your job, to go out there and bring those clients in through the door to that company that put their stake in you, right? Their faith in you, their trust in you, their partnership in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's and it's the same with our design firms. We have all this passion, we have all this talent, we have all this stuff, but you have to go out and toot your own horn and say, hey, this is what I'm good at. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love it. I love it. Any last parting things that you want to share from this experience that I might not have thought to bring up that are important to sort of be like, you left off the biggest thing in the world, LuAnn. That was the hardest thing for me to do, or something.
Well, I think one thing that's important to note is this is a smaller company. This is the second company that I've actually partnered with. So Revolution was the first. Also, kind of a similar situation. They followed me on social media. What I was doing resonated with them and their brand. Also a family-owned business in my area. They reached out in an effort to promote their new brand of product, and we connected, and it was a relationship that we grew together. So I think sometimes we maybe discount some of the smaller players. Like we see the Candace Olsen, right? I don't have a line with York wall coverings.
Right.
Those are places to aspire to, but sometimes it may be the person that's knocking on your door that's like, hey, you want to see our product? That might be a great partner for you, especially as a newer designer, that leads to other partnerships.
Right. Or you and your smaller, partner grow and become, something really fabulous and bigger than you were together because of the two of you. Like you're teaching them about the way to create buzz around a product and to get us all of there. I mean, really, you made it like you had to be there. It was like, how could you not go say hi to Cheryl and see her furniture? Of course you're going to do that. What are you, crazy? I don't care. 19-inch high heels and run all the way across High Point and get there. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so the point is to, don't look at just what isn't there. Look at what is there. What is happening? What is that relationship? But I think it's even more is big, little, whatever, get clear on what you want and need from it, right? And make sure that they have some agreements there and that what they want and need from it are things that you can agree to and live within, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. How exciting for you. And I mean, in the middle of all this, you're running an interior design firm. I mean, do you have projects going on? I see them.
I look back at last year and think, what in the world happened?
Right.
I mean, but we were really upfront with our clients because, I just believe in being honest. Look, I'm launching a furniture line for the first time ever. We're still working on your project, but I'm going to need a little extra time. Or, we're not going to be able to meet next week because I'm going to be getting ready for High Point Market. And they were invested.
They're excited
in the way.
for you.
Yeah, right. Excited. Yeah. Like, well, can I get a piece of your furniture? Well, sure you can.
Here's the price tag.
Yeah, right. So, I think it was important for me to understand that, yes, this is a great side opportunity, but my bread and butter is still the design business. So
right. You're not this at this point is not paying the bills.
No.
It's potential. It's awareness. It's opportunity. It's what's coming. So, but and I have to say, I have used you as an example many times in private conversations with interior designers, whether I'm just talking with them at the different markets or coaching with them, whatever it may be. But you just said in there two things that I have often repeated from your first episode, because you shared a similar sentiment that number one, you're upfront and honest with your clients. And number two, in your first show, it was when you were building and getting busy, but you were still working your full-time job. you would just say to people, well, I would love to do this, but I can't even start for 3 months, or I can't start for 6 weeks, or I can't start for 4 months. And you were consistently surprised that people would say, okay, I'll wait.
Okay.
And and I like that, because it's the same message that you just shared now, that you were now knee deep into projects. And instead of having people call you and your assistant make up nonsense for why you're not answering the phone and you can't get to the tile site, just said, look, people, real life, I have an opportunity. I'm going to take care of it. You're eventually going to get taken care of. And if you don't like it, maybe you would have made a special arrangement. You would have taken one project and just wrapped it up, or you would have severed the relationship so they could go free to do somebody else, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And that's important, because it's a valuable lesson to learn, that the upfront and setting that expectation is so much better than taking on, like in the case when you were first getting up and going, so much better to stage the start of the projects and not pretend and take on 5 at a time and do a lousy job with all 5 at a time, if you're not in a position to handle 2 at a time, 5 at a time, 10 at a time.
And I think people most times they understand. Like yes, if my project needs to be delayed a couple of weeks because Cheryl is launching her furniture line, that's amazing, and we want to support that how we can.
As opposed to, why hasn't Cheryl answered my phone call for 2 weeks?
Exactly.
Right. But I mean, and also to the other thing, because just talk to it a little bit, because it was so powerful that you said it, and I have repeated it often. Talk a little bit to when somebody comes to want to start a project with you. You take the appointment for the consultation, you go through the process of deciding if the project's good for you or bad, but then you say, I would like to do this with you, but I can't start it for X amount of weeks. Is that how you do it, Cheryl?
Yeah, and it's a little less, I mean, obviously I'm full-time, I have greater capacity, so it's less of an issue now. Plus I'm working on larger projects than I was at the time. But at the time I had a full-time job, I was in school, and I had client projects. So I had to be really realistic with the fact I can't do 4 projects at one time. I just can't.
Right.
Not well, anyway. So let me not pretend that I can, and let me just be honest with the people and say, hey, look, I have a full-time job. This is my passion. You know, I think I'm pretty good at it. Clearly I did something that you like because you landed in my inbox, but I've got to be honest with you and say that I can't take you on. You're number 3 on the list right now. And it's probably going to be 4 months before I get to you. I completely understand if that doesn't work for you. And 9 times out of 10, they would say, oh no, that's fine. We'll wait.
Yeah.
But imagine if I had taken it on, been at work, they're ringing my phone, my boss is wondering what's going on.
Right.
And I've created all of this stress for myself when I could have just been honest. And if it didn't work, that's fine. It didn't work. Then maybe the next person it would work for. I just always believe in authenticity and honesty.
Right. And that's the way to get through it. It's, is not to pretend. And I really, so thank you. Thank you for sharing that again, because I say it, but I think it's important to be heard from you as the person who experienced it at the level of being a side hustler with it, and now at the level of being a professional full-time designer. There are always times when it's a better business decision to put the brakes, tell everybody. And I love what you said. I'm passionate about this. I love doing it. You share your joy for it, but I'm going to want to do a good job, not a half-baked job, right?
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to tell you what, you're one of my favorite people.
Oh,
you really are.
You.
I just admire what you do. I admire how you do it. I admire your energy, your passion for it. I admire your integrity in doing it. It's just something. And we can't hang up here. We can't end without doing the shout out to Ruthie and Rashida. Come on.
Yes. I actually, Rashida got bumped today from her mentoring call for this interview.
Sorry, Rashida.
Yeah, we've actually become, all 3 of us. It's so interesting because Ruthie didn't know Rashida, but we all roomed together at High Point Market this this go round.
God.
Yeah, so it's like the trifecta.
It really is something. It really is something. And I think I understand it correctly. Isn't Rashida now mentoring somebody too?
Yeah, she is. She actually mentors a designer in Charlotte here.
And what's her name?
Her Instagram is D Nicole.
Okay, because I you know what? I don't remember how I know that. I don't know if I saw Rashida at High Point and she told me, or I don't even know. It might have been that
she might have mentioned it on her show.
Yeah, or I almost feel like D. Nicole might have come up to me and said,
Okay.
"You're not going to believe it, but Rashida's mentoring me now." So, it's funny because a lot of people say to me, "I don't know how you remember everything," and of course, I do remember a lot of things, but I don't remember everything. But I remember the big strokes for sure, and I remembered that Rashida is now paying it forward and mentoring somebody too. And I just love what you women have created, all of you, Ruthie and Rashida and yourself and Dee now. It's really, this is one of the reasons why I truly, truly admire you. And on top of all of your other stuff, that you are a person that gives and you look for, like you say, the places that you can make a smart investment in your business and your personal, your personal growth and your business growth, and you're intentional about it. And you're just a hashtag smart lady. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I use that? You might see that in my hashtag smart lady. I like it.
Yes. I encourage if I give you a hashtag smart lady, you definitely should use it. Oh my goodness. So you're going to High Point in April. I'm making an assumption.
I am. We are actually getting ready, gearing up. We'll be, showing the collection again in a revised version for spring. And so I'm currently knee deep in plans for that.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm coming to see you again. That's for sure. Thank you, Cheryl, for being back on the show again. This has been an amazing Where Are They Now episode.
Thank you so much for having me, LuAnn.
Okay, you can admit it. You're all in about Cheryl too, right? I mean, how could you not? She's truly hashtag smart lady. So here are some of the big lessons from this episode in my mind. No does not mean no. I mean, really, quite sincerely, model your pursuit of your new clients after the pursuit of this particular marketing director at Sylvester Alexander to Cheryl. It is the very definition of one of two of my mantras, which is, I will persist until I succeed. This is from Og Mandino in The Greatest Salesman in the World book. Okay. The second is, Cheryl, while it was clear that we could hear she was flattered to be asked, she still evaluated the proposal from a business standpoint, not letting her excitement cloud her judgment when she sat down to nail down the details. Cheryl also knew her non-negotiables, and she also knew what they wanted from the relationship. This is the basis for successful negotiation. You have to know what you will do and what you will not do, and you also need to know what is important to the other party, right? Another thing is that relationships are everything. Remember your friends. Remember who helped you along the way. Also, pay it forward for someone else if you have the opportunity. Cheryl looked to her network of friends when it came to specifying the fabrics for her new collection, sharing the success with Denise and Kim and Wendy. I think that's awesome. All right, now, the last thing is create your own buzz. Not only is it fun to organize and throw celebrations for your accomplishments, it encourages and acknowledges and rewards your business partners as well. And in a relationship like this one, licensee and licensor, it is expected and it is key in your mutual success to do this. Okay? So great stuff. So good. Follow Cheryl at Dwell by Cheryl on Instagram and check out her new line at either her website or at sylvesteralexander.com. Speaking of buzz, I have just a little reminder. Are you coming to the birthday party? Yes, the podcast is turning 3 in just 2 weeks. It's really a week and a half. February 5th at the Kravitz Showroom at the D&D building in New York City. 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And the RSVP is on my website, LuAnnNigara.com. It's under the coaching and events tab. Scroll down until you see the invitation to the birthday party, which has the Eventbrite link to RSVP. Okay. The space is limited. Okay. Kravet isn't letting like 500 of us in there. I mean, that would be awesome, but they don't have enough space for that. So you absolutely must RSVP. There's no ticket price. It's a party. Come to the party. It's a good time. We always have fun. We take pictures. We talk with each other. We hang out, we have glasses of wine together. It's really, it's all about just being together. And so I would love for you to join us. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to learn about your business. And I would really love to help me thank Kravet for their part in bringing this podcast to you. Okay. So also February 5th is also the very last day that you can get your ticket to LuAnn Nigara Live. It's about the conversation at the reduced rate of $495, because after that, it goes to the regular price of $595 all the way up to event day. The VIP ticket is $200. Okay. Just want to say one word to you. Fantabulous. That is the word for this event. It should be this word. Fan-freaking-tabulous. That's what the word really should be. Okay? I mean, I'm so sincere about this. This is going to be an insane event. It is going to be filled with a gabillion business ideas. Your brain is going to explode. 12 live presentations. 12 live hour-long presentations by the best experts in our industry. Okay? Tons of talking and friendship and networking and meeting each other, and tons of fun packed into this 2.5 incredible days. For real. Okay? So I hope you'll join us at one of these or both of these or all of these. Just it's really, very, very fun to see you and be with you and meet with you in person. And I am looking forward to sharing these days and these events with you. So what are you going to do today? What are you going to do? You know, I always end by saying that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? But what are you going to do? It's not just an empty question. Think about it. What are you going to do? How are you going to do something that will make your business better today? All right? Think about it. Decide. You got to decide. You got to do that part. You have to think about it, and then you have to decide. You have to get up and move and act. Okay? You can do it. Don't just put notes in a notebook. Make a decision. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.